In this video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 different myths about home bartending that are probably holding you back if you really truly believe in them. My name is Ron Vierpen. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. During that time, I learned how to make over 100 different cocktails, and I've thrown over 50 cocktail parties. And I teach other beauty professionals how to make cocktails at home. And let's get right into the video and start busting each of these myths one by one. The first myth is that you need to have fresh fruits, especially limes and lemons, always stocked in your home bar. And as you can see right here, I don't really follow that rule. I think that using bottled lime juice and lemon juice, and not only for these two juices, but also for pineapple, grapefruit, tomato, cranberry, and a number of other different fruit juices out there, is absolutely the way to go when you're a home bartender, like myself and like you all that are aspiring to be, or maybe that you all already are, and you're looking just to get better as home bartenders. There are a couple different reasons why I think bottled fruit juices are far superior to fresh fruit juices when you're a home bartender. You know, I will be the first to admit that fresh fruits, especially for limes and lemons, but for other fruits as well, will give you a superior flavor profile than bottled lime juice and lemon juice. But I think the difference is so marginal that the advantages that bottled juices have over fruit juices, or over fresh fruits, in a number of other different categories far outweighs that, so that bottled juices are the go-to and should be the go-to for all home bartenders. And if you really follow this, this will take away one of the big pain points, one of the big barriers to entry to really getting into home bartending. If you watch all the other bartending YouTubers or read books on bartending and home bartending and things like that, they'll all say to go out and buy fresh fruits for limes, lemons, grapefruits, pineapples, and a number of other different juices and fruits out there. I think that's complete BS. There are a couple different advantages here that we get from bottled juices over fresh juices. The first is going to be shelf stability. And I think that's absolutely important when you're a home bartender. You know, you're not making cocktails every single night. You're probably just making them once a week or maybe once every couple weeks, something like that. And if you just go ahead and buy fresh fruits, you're going to have far more ingredient waste. Because these are more shelf stable, after they can sit in your pantry indefinitely before you open them. Not indefinitely, but for quite some time. And then after you open them, you can store them in your fridge for quite some time. So they have far more shelf stability than their fresh fruit counterparts. So when you're not making cocktails every night, you know, when you go to professional bars, that's a different, when you go out to real bars, that's a different scenario, because those professional bartenders are going to be making cocktails every single night. So their ingredients are going to get used up. If you're a home bartender like myself, that's not the case for you. You're only going to be making cocktails every now and then, maybe once a month when you throw a party, or maybe once a week when you're looking to just unwind after a busy day or trying to have a date night with your partner or something like that. You're not going to be using your ingredients as much. So having higher shelf stability is way more important to home bartenders than it is to professional bartenders. And that's why I think bottled juices for lime, lemon, and a number of other fruits is far superior to fresh fruits. The second main reason is that these take up just way less space. You know, you're not working in a bar. You're working in literally your own kitchen. That's exactly where I'm filming right now. This is literally my kitchen. I can't have these giant fruit bowls taking up all of my pantry space, all of my counter space, all of my bar cart space, all things like that. This simple bottle of lime juice contains 16 ounces of juice. 16 ounces is equivalent to somewhere between 16 and 32 limes. So this will take up way, way less space than 16 to 32 limes. And the same applies to lemon juice and a number of other, and pretty much all the other fruits out there too. They just take up way less space in addition to being way more shelf stable. So although you do take a slight hit in terms of the taste and the flavor profile when you're using bottled juices over fresh fruits, bottled juices far outweigh that difference by being more shelf stable and taking up way less space, and overall just being way more practical for home bartenders. So that is going to be myth number one, that you need to have fresh fruits on hand always when you're a home bartender. I will tell you this, I've almost never had fresh fruits on hand, and I've been doing this for over 5 years now. I've learned how to make over 100, 150 cocktails. I've made thousands of cocktails just in sheer numbers. I've served cocktails to probably hundreds of people by now. And not a single person has ever complained saying, oh, why did you use bottled lime juice? Why didn't you use fresh fruits? No one has ever complained. No one has ever mentioned anything about the taste not being as good using bottled lime juice over fresh limes, for example. That's never happened before. So I think that's a complete myth, and it's probably holding you back, because I know for me, it was definitely holding me back. I thought to really get started on home bartending, I needed to go out and buy these fresh fruits and always have fruit stocked, and that really held me back. When I finally just decided on my own to, let's try out bottled juice. Let's see how it goes. And I did that all the way back in the summer of 2020. And over 5+ years now, 5.5 years later, I'm still doing it. I'm still using bottled juices. I use bottled juices all the time on my cocktail videos for this channel. And also when I make cocktails for myself and when I throw cocktail parties and serve cocktails to other people, I'm always going to be using bottled juices. So anyone that tells you that you always need fresh fruits, I think that's complete BS. I think they're really just trying to hold you back and confuse you. And that's really not the way to go. Just go with bottled juices. It'll really get the job done. And when you're a home bartender, you want practicality way more, and that's going to be way more important than a lot of other things. So you want practicality. You want something that you can actually use on a consistent basis to help you make your drinks, and bottled juices are going to do that way more than fresh fruits are. So that's myth number one. The second myth is that you need to have clear ice. And if you watch any of the other bartending YouTubers, pretty much all of them have at least one video on clear ice. Oftentimes they have 3 or 4 different videos on clear ice. And they're telling you this really impractical method of making clear ice. I think clear ice is great if you're a professional bartender. A lot of those professional bars will source these clear ice making to a professional clear ice company. So that's why they're able to get clear ice at these high quantities. When you're a home bartender, what the other bartending YouTubers will tell you to do is to buy one of these giant ice coolers, like about this big, fill it up with ice, store it in your freezer, that you not only are using for this ice, you're also using it to store the food for your family or for your roommate or for your friends or whoever else lives with you. You're going to be using that freezer to store that food, but they want you to take this giant cooler and also store it in that same freezer. And then have it sit there for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you take it out, you put it on a giant cutting board, you take all these impractical tools like a giant ice saw and pick and all that and try to carve it into these different shapes. I don't think you need to really do any of that. It could be fun to do every once in a while if you're more intermediate to advanced home bartender. Okay, I think that's great. But when you're a home bartender like myself, you're making these drinks out of your kitchen. I can't stress that enough. You're making these drinks out of your kitchen. That freezer is not just for your ice for your cocktails. That freezer is also for the food that you use to feed yourself. And if you live with other people, it's also to feed your roommates or your family or your kids or whoever else you live with. It's also going to be used for that. You can't just take up all the space with a giant ice cooler and have it sitting there for 24 hours. And also, you guys have busy professional lives. You guys are all going to be working. You all have day jobs, things like that. You can't really, have this thing take over your life, or you have to take it out at exactly 24 hours and buy all these giant tools, take up your whole kitchen counter or your island, and then just carve it into these different shapes. I think, like I said, I think that's fun to do every once in a while. If you're more advanced or intermediate, I still haven't done it to this day, honestly, and I'm 5+ years into this journey. But it can be fun to do every once in a while. I can see that. But on a simple day-to-day basis, as a home bartender, you're looking to just make cocktails. You're looking to just try and relax after a busy day at work. You're looking to enjoy a date night with your partner. You're looking to have a good night at home with some of your friends. Maybe you're hosting a party for your coworkers, something like that. You don't want to be doing that whole clear ice method. I think this gets the job done more than adequately. And this is the simple standard 1-inch ice cubes. And the ice cube tray is from Cocktail Kingdom. The link to this will be linked in the description below. It's not an affiliated link. I don't get any money if you guys buy this. This is just the ice cube tray that I swear by. I actually have 3 different Cocktail Kingdom ice cube trays. I also have the 2 or 2.5-inch ice cubes, so that's a bigger version of this. And then I also have the Collins Spears. But if you only buy one, I think this is the most practical. This is the 1-inch ice cubes. They work not only in highball cocktails, but also lowball cocktails. And I use them for both shaken cocktails. I use them for stirred cocktails. So this really covers the whole wide variety of cocktails out there in just one ice cube tray. And you don't get clear ice, but I still get tons of compliments using this ice. This is a huge step up from the standard ice cube trays or the ice that your fridge makes or the ice that you get in these plastic bags from the grocery stores. This is a huge step up. I think this is really all you need to go with. It's very cheap, affordable, easy to use, and way, way more practical than using that stupid clear ice method that everyone else will be telling you to do. So that's going to be myth number 2, that you need to use clear ice. I think this is the perfect solution for home bartenders. Way more practical than clear ice, way less time consuming, way easier to do, and still a huge step up above the basic ice cubes that you get from your fridge or from the grocery store or from those standard basic ice cube trays. This is the way to go if you're looking to make quality ice at home. And again, the link to this will be in the description below. So that's going to be myth number 2 regarding the need for clear ice. Myth number 1, just to summarize, was about needing fresh fruits. I think both of those are completely BS. You can always just use bottled fruit juices, and you can always just use a simple ice cube tray like the one from Cocktail Kingdom. That'll really get the job done all the time. And finally, the third myth that I'm going to be covering in this video is that you need to always have really expensive liquors when you're making cocktails at home. And as you can see by these bottles here, these are my go-to workhorse spirits. This is going to be Florida Caña, which is for my white rum. Then this is going to be Beefeater for gin, and then Tito's for vodka. and I've chosen these specifically for this video. And also, as you can see, these bottles aren't full. These are the bottles that I use when I'm making cocktails for this channel and when I'm making cocktails at home for myself, or when I'm throwing parties and making cocktails for my friends and family and things like that. These do get used. And these are the workhorse spirits in my home bar for rum, gin, and vodka. And something that they all have in common is that they all cost in the low 20s in terms of US dollars in the year 2026. I think really the ideal sweet spot for how much money you should spend on a liquor bottle, a 750 ml liquor bottle in the year 2026 for bottles that you're going to be using to make cocktails is somewhere between 20 US dollars and 35 US dollars. These are actually all on the lower end. They're somewhere between like 20 and $25 depending on what part of America or what part of the world you live in, really. And I think all of your bottles, not just for these three base spirits, but also for cognac, tequila, and whiskey, whether rye whiskey, Irish whiskey, bourbon, whatever type of whiskey, I think all those core spirits should be somewhere in that range, $20 to $35. I found this was true even in the year 2020 when I was first getting started, and even with a little bit of inflation 6 years later, nearly 6 years later in 2026, I think that's still the sweet spot. Liquor prices haven't really gone up too much. I think somewhere between $20 and $35. Maybe you can argue a little bit for like $23 to $38. Just somewhere approximately in that range is going to be the ideal range for how much a liquor bottle should cost for the liquors that you're going to be using to make cocktails. And this is different from liquors that you're going to be sipping on your own. You know, I have a few bottles of nice scotch and things like that I like to sip on their own. I think for those, you can get in 50 plus, 100 plus, 200 plus even for the amount of money you spend on a 750 ml bottle there. But those are different because those are just going to be sipped either on their own or maybe with just like a little bit of ice or one larger ice cube, something like that. When you're making cocktails, you're combining the liquor with other ingredients. You're combining with dairy, with egg white, with fruit juice, with syrup, with bitters, with liqueurs, with vermouths, with sodas, with all of these different ingredients. So, you're really sort of diluting the flavor of the actual liquor itself. When you're having a nice bottle of scotch on its own or a nice bottle of high-end tequila on its own, like I said, it's just the liquor on its own, maybe a big piece of ice for a little bit of dilution and chill, something like that. When you're making cocktails, it's different because you're combining the liquors with other ingredients, so you're not going to be tasting the liquors as much. So, you don't need as much quality. But also, I would say on the other end, you don't want to go too cheap in terms of the liquors. That's why I said that really that sweet spot is $20 to $35, or maybe a little bit more now in 2026, like $23 to $38, somewhere in that range. Try to avoid really that low shelf, the plastic bottles where, things are like $8 for a 750 ml bottle of vodka or like $15 for a 750 ml bottle of gin. I think you can make decent cocktails with that, but really this is that sweet spot, that Goldilocks principle right in the middle. And this is after that you get diminishing returns, and before that, you get an exponential drop off. So that's going to be the sweet spot. These are great examples. If you're having questions about, what's a good vodka or what's a good whiskey that's in that price range, what's a good tequila that's in that price range, you guys can go ahead and comment that down below. I'll try to answer your questions as soon as possible. But anyway, that's going to be myth number 3, that you need to always buy super expensive bottles of liquor for making cocktails. I think if you stick to that sweet spot price range, somewhere between $20 and $35 approximately, in terms of US dollars in the year 2026, I think that's really going to get the job done for the type of cocktails that you're going to be making. So just to summarize, I covered 3 myths and broke each of them down and why those are really all holding you back as home bartenders. The first myth is that you need to go out and buy fresh fruits all the time when you're making cocktails. I think that's complete BS. You can totally get away with just using bottled juices for lime, lemon, and a number of other different juices and fruits out there. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 5 years now, made thousands of cocktails, and these are the ingredients that I use. These are the exact bottles of ingredients that I use for lime juice and lemon juice. And I also use bottled juices for the other fruit juices as well. So if you're letting that hold you back, please don't. Just go ahead and buy the bottled juices. The second myth that I dispel is that you need to have clear ice. This one really held me back as well too. I thought I needed to go out and buy this ice cooler, and I was like, there's no way I can take up my whole freezer with that ice cooler and buy all these ice tools to cut up the ice into different shapes. That really held me back. I think that's complete BS. Really, you can just go ahead and buy any of the Cocktail Kingdom ice cube trays. They really get the job done. And this is my favorite one of them all. I think it's the most versatile, covers a wide range of cocktails. This is the 1-inch ice cubes. And then finally, the third myth that I broke down is that you need to always go out and buy the most expensive types of liquors for your different cocktails. I think that's complete BS as well. That can hold you back, especially if you're more financially constrained as well. I think really that sweet spot where you get enough quality while still being more affordable and practical for home bartenders is that $20 to $35 price range. And not only for home bartenders, when I go out to bars too, these are the standard spirits that they use. Even at high-end cocktail bars, they try to use liquors that are in that price range when they're making cocktails there too. So that's why this is a great tip too. If you're really more financially constrained, or you feel like you always have to go out and buy the most expensive liquors, I think complete BS to that as well. Just go ahead and buy bottles like this that are in that $20 to $35 in terms of US dollars price range. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. If you found the video in this, if you find the advice in this video helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really like to do two styles of videos on this channel. The first will be more like this one, where it's a talking head video where I give general advice and answer questions and share tips and tricks and stories and things like that that I hope will help you guys become better home bartenders. And the second style of video will be tutorials where I show you guys how to make a specific cocktail or maybe a specific few cocktails. Thank you. Cheers.